2015, we've seen the market cap of the top 100 go down yet again. The junior space is really suffering. I think that when looking at the space, still it's 50% dominated by the gold sector, and given where the gold price is, as well as many of the other commodities, and the lack of motivation of people buying gold at the moment, it really is suffering from a sector as a whole.
Je vous dirais que le sentiment qu'on retrouve actuellement dans le secteur minier au Canada, c'est un contexte extrêmement difficile. Ça fait 3 années vraiment que les compagnies dans le secteur minier souffrent. Ça s'explique par le prix des commodités qui demeure extrêmement bas. Puis également, on voit actuellement aucun signe de recouvrement. Il y a aussi l'économie mondiale. On a vu cet été un peu avec la crise en Chine que c'est une économie qui est encore très volatile.
Some companies are still doing okay. They're being able to develop their projects. Some are still producing, but obviously at much lower commodity prices. But a number of the exploring companies are really struggling to keep the exploration spend going. The key issue that they're all facing is financing and having enough cash to move their projects forward.
It's really difficult just because we've had this environment where junior companies, for the most part, haven't been able to raise a lot of money in years. And as a consequence, that cash positions are starting to run low, and people are having to think about how to reduce their activities and their spending levels and their project activity, and just time is running out because the money is starting to run out.
Donc, je vous dirais que ce qu'on voit au Québec par rapport aux autres provinces du Canada, c'est pas vraiment différent, peut-être à quelques exceptions. Au Québec, on a eu la chance de voir une nouvelle société émerger qui s'appelle Osisko Gold Royalties. Donc, cette compagnie-là, elle a un nouveau modèle d'affaires, elle est capable d'attirer des capitaux, ce qui fait en sorte qu'elle est en mesure d'investir dans beaucoup de projets au Québec, que ce soit Naya Gold ou Falco. Donc, il crée un certain momentum. On voit aussi que les fonds institutionnels québécois ont un intérêt à faire partie de la solution, à trouver une solution parce qu'ils sont très impliqués dans le secteur minier. Troisième commentaire aussi, le gouvernement du Québec, avec le plan Nord, se prépare justement pour être prêt lorsque la relance dans le secteur minier va arriver, lorsque le cycle va tourner, pour que le gouvernement soit capable de justement mettre en œuvre son plan Nord.
So we see really 2 impacts of what's happening as a result of this downturn. One is significant reduction in exploration activities actually in the province itself. And that's obviously going to have an impact for us in the future as we look forward to really identification of new projects, future development, and mines right in BC itself. And then with such a big junior mining presence actually in Vancouver, it's a big part of the Vancouver business community and the business environment. And as they have reduced their activity levels, first the exploration goes, and then we've obviously seen them starting to reduce the number of people that they employ from an industry perspective. So it's really a tough market in that perspective. Obviously, there's a few out there that are successful, that have great projects and that are getting attention, but relatively speaking, that's a very small number.
I think some of the activities that we're seeing with the mining companies, that they're really having to think of what do they do differently. Keeping the lights on has been a plan over the last couple of years, and with the prolongation of the downturn in the sector, they've really realized that they can't have business as usual of just having a small G&A spend. So we've seen a number of companies come together, try and do something different. We've got the OBAN deal, where they've 4 companies have come together to really try and move the properties forward, but also bring some cash from a couple of those entities into the new OBAN. There's a company such as Rox Gold, which has been able to go out and get some private placement financing, as well as some project-specific financing. So again, where you've got an asset that investors are willing to back, companies are still able to progress and move those projects forward.
So we're seeing companies start to look at new opportunities, and some of that is companies really thinking about how am I going to generate some value for my shareholders. If people wait and continue to wait, they may actually not be able to keep the projects that are the source of future value. And so what we're seeing in discussions we've had with people around the industry is that it feels like the time is right to start to put companies together and realize both the value of potentially putting projects together in the same geography, or ultimately putting together a portfolio of projects to really save that value for the future and preserve that value for shareholders.
Other things that companies have to think about doing is if they've got debt, they've really got to be actively engaging with the debt holders, so there's an element of transparency of what the company is doing and how it's going to be moving forward. companies may get into trouble if there's a lack of discussion and upfront planning with those debt holders of how the debt will be serviced. The other area that the companies we've seen them do is look at buying cash. There's a number of companies out there who are trading below their cash value from a market cap perspective. And so if other companies are in a cash shortage, we have seen companies come together to bring the cash from one junior with the projects from another company to help them move them forward.
Malheureusement, ça ne créait pas de valeur pour les actionnaires, mais aussi c'était très démotivant pour les employés au sein de ces organisations-là. Aussi, les investisseurs institutionnels dans le marché commencent à passer des messages forts, comme de quoi les compagnies doivent réduire leurs frais fixes. Et une façon de réduire ces frais-là, c'est justement se combiner avec d'autres sociétés pour créer un meilleur bilan, pour que la société soit en meilleure santé. Et lorsque le cycle va reprendre, parce que oui, il va reprendre, les compagnies qui vont avoir fait ces actions-là vont être beaucoup mieux positionnées pour augmenter leurs chances de succès lorsque le cycle va tourner.